Good evening. I would like to call this regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission to order. It is Monday, June 24th, 2024, 7 p.m. here in the Senate Meeting Room at Town Hall and on Zoom. When we get to the areas of our agenda for citizens' comments or in the public hearing, I remind all participants to state your name and address. To direct your comments to me as the chair in a respectful and civil manner, and to limit your comments to 3 minutes unless otherwise directed. I would now ask all to stand as they are able for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Chairman, just before you take the roll call, I just want to let the folks in the Zoom room know the camera is hooked up and turned on, but not giving me any picture. So I will do my best to share the copies of the documents from the agenda as we go.
Is that in fact Amy, or is it?
Amy, is that you or is that Jason?
No, Jason is working a job tonight, so it's just me.
Okay,
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks, Amy. Okay, we will then call the roll. Mr. Hill. Alvin Hill, present.
Mike Rogel, present.
Russell Robin, present.
Ray Williams, present.
Dave Poplowski.
Randy Blackmore.
Ryan Kennard.
John Bialanti.
Joseph Brody Brown. We will seat Mr. Poplowski for Ms. Halsey.
That she just has to, that she like to come.
Oh, thank you.
My pleasure.
Item 4, public hearing, application 24-11, applicant Ishwara Sharma, 1 Ratan Road, Realty Trust, owner of 1410 Thompson Road, map 114, block 27, lot 21, zone RRAV, 49.53 acres, special permit for multi-housing, 16 single-family homes, 4 duplexes, community building, according to the Town of Thompson zoning regulations, Article 7, 275-72, number 14, and Article 4, Section 275-4, A, B, and C. Yeah, okay. This is a continuation of the public hearing that was presented at our last regular meeting.
And can I make a point?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I had a conversation with the town attorney and he said we did the right call at the last meeting to open the public hearing and continue this.
Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Janet Blanchett, representing Dr. Sharma for the project. We did give quite a detailed and lengthy presentation last month, so I won't repeat that. I'll just summarize and introduce a few items. So Dr. Sharma, he intends to build a community for senior citizens that he hopes is going to be quiet, serene, and peaceful. Will be a gated adult condominium complex, and it will include a community building where the residents can socialize, support each other, have parties, and that sort of thing. The buildings were designed for the needs of seniors, as we mentioned last week, with slopes and ADA bathrooms. They'll be solar ready and they'll have EV chargers in the garage. So he'd like to build an environmentally responsible project as well as just even for senior citizens. Last month I mentioned we had NVDH approval for the septic systems and the Wetlands Commission approval. We recently added a 10,000 gallon fire system to the property.
Janet, while you're turning your pages, for the record, Kai's or entered the meeting at 7:04.
We will see.
I don't mean to interrupt. I was just gonna message you back, Tira, but that Zoom link, I was having a hard time opening it.
Okay, thanks, Kai.
Sorry.
Seat Ms. Orr for Mr. Santos.
Okay, so I am seated for Santos.
Yes. you
Yes.
are, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Not a problem. Thanks.
No problem. I believe Cindy included this in your packet, basically centrally located, this is the plan that the utility plants are centrally located within their development. We placed a 10,000 gallon cistern for fire protection, and the fire marshal has approved that. So those are the approvals. Dr. Sharm is very sensitive to the comments of the neighbors, and they had concerns about traffic. So he asked J&D to go ahead and submit a traffic impact study at his cost, without request from the town. And I'd like to summarize the findings of that report. J&D's report is based upon traffic engineering manuals such as the trip generation manual, the highway capacity manual, and the AASHTO green book for highway geometry. So there's approximately 50 houses in the neighborhood. With the addition of these 24, they're less traffic houses. They generate less traffic than single family houses because we have 2 bedrooms there for seniors. So the traffic in the roads will increase by approximately 27%. So the interesting is, how does this affect the capacity of the existing roads? Because that's what you really want to know. Is it going to be a negative effect? And the roads are classified at operating as different levels of services, and they're graded A through F, just kind of like your grades in school, with A being the highest level of service and F being the least desirable level of service. So if you can think of a road operating at level of service A, that you can drive freely, you're not delayed, you don't have to move around things. Level of service F is like, gridlock, there's 5 traffic lights in front of you, they're all red, you can't go anywhere. So the roads in this neighborhood are gently sloped, and they're paved, and they're over 30 feet wide with a low speed limit of 25 miles an hour. So this type of road, they have a capacity of up to 2,000 vehicle trips per day to still be operating at level of service A. And given the traffic generated by the existing 50 homes plus future traffic from this proposed project, the trip generation is only 650 vehicles. So in the future conditions with existing and projected traffic, it's well below the level of service A for this type of road. So yes, there will be a small increase in traffic, but it should not negatively impact the functioning or the safety of the roads. And obviously, most of the neighborhood isn't impacted at all, because they'll just go down Bryan Avenue and make a right on the government. The rest of the streets will have zero increased traffic from the proposed project. So, and also it is interesting that the good neighbor that Dr. Sharma is, town of Webster basically been turning around their snow plows in his driveway for 46 years, and there hasn't been a problem. He hasn't. About that. So also in your packet, there was a letter from the Webster Town Administrator asking that their comments be included in the public record for this public hearing. Most of the comments are administrative in nature, but there is one comment regarding emergency vehicle access. It's an engineering issue, so I'd like to discuss that in a little bit of detail with the commission. I will turn the screen on to it shows the whole project in the roadway network. So the roadway network that comes in from the north and terminates in this cul-de-sac of the Green Island. This road is designed to Town of Thompson public road standards, even though it's a private road. So Thompson accepts this geometry of roads being safe for emergency vehicles in town. The driveway to the 4 duplexes, which terminates in a hammerhead, that hammerhead, even if vehicles are parked in front of this garage, this hammerhead dimensions meet the AASHTO geometry for turnarounds for very low volume roads. So this is 60 feet by 20 feet with 20-foot turning radiuses. And I know it doesn't, it's hard to visualize, so let me tell you, 60 feet is the width of, commercial parking lot. So it's the width of a commercial parking lot with no cars, at the end. And so there's quite a bit of turning space here for ambulances, snow plows, UPS delivery trucks. And, this is obviously a very low volume road, which the one duplexes on it. And I think most importantly is that the Thompson Fire Marshal has reviewed these plans for months and he didn't have a concern. Oh, well, in addition, I think it is worth pointing out that there's ample parking, so there shouldn't be on-street parking, so the street's pretty much gonna be open. Each home has 4 parking spaces, you know, 2 in the garage and 2 in front of the garage, plus there's 15 other spaces distributed for guests. So I think, at the last meeting, there were a couple suggestions, which I think, good suggestions. One was putting a directory so that if somebody approaches the gate, they can know exactly where they're going. I think that's a great idea. We can add that. You know, a sign with a map that has the numbers, so somebody knows how far up the road they need to go and where they're going, is on the right or the left. There was a comment about potentially putting a sign at the far north that says slow children playing. I mean, something like that. If that's appropriate, we could add that. So I submitted with the original packet a whole list of benefits to the town of Thompson for the special permit. That's something you require as part of your process. But I think, so you already had that, we discussed that last month. I think it's also important to mention that this project is basically of regional importance because of the lack of 55 and older housing. This project would be attractive to people in Massachusetts, in Rhode Island, as well as Connecticut. Just fulfilling a need, a housing need that we all know. Now, obviously, Thompson will have the benefit of the property taxes for this project, but I mean, we all know that people living here are going to spend a lot of money in Webster using service industries, retail stores, restaurants. That's going to be their closest center for commercial activity. And so I think these residents will be good support for them as well. The project does conform to the requirements of zoning regulations, and I believe it meets the special permit decision criteria. And I mentioned some of those last month, but just to summarize, this is a residential use in a residential area with similar density to those in Massachusetts. It's not going to be, you know, it's meant to be a quiet place for senior citizens without noise, you know, loud noises, offensive odors, any of that. The architectural design, which we reviewed, I have them with me, is, you know, consistent with this area and attractive. You know, again, we've tried to preserve as much landscape as we could. The project is going to be on a 28-acre piece of property, and basically we're using 11 of those 28 acres. So there's quite a bit of wetland, upland, stone wall preservation. And so we hope we will close the public hearing this evening and vote in favor of the project.
Does anyone have any questions from Ms. Blanchett?
Yeah, I do.
I'm sorry, just 1 minute, sir. We'll get to the public in just 1 minute. Any questions from Ms. Blanchett from the? Go ahead, Cindy.
I have a question. That hammerhead with the parking, you know, the turnaround for the large vehicles. Are you gonna put no parking signs over there?
Yes, we should.
Okay,
We should definitely put those parking signs right here.
right,
So no parking turnaround here.
right, okay.
Sir?
Yeah, O'Connell, Bryan Avenue, Webster. At the last meeting, the engineer mentioned a access directly from Thompson Road to 1410. Okay, I've got a map here that was provided by the engineer, and I'd like her to indicate on the map exactly where that access is.
There is no access to.
You said there was.
There is a utility easement.
That's not what I heard the last time.
Just 1 minute, so.
Listen to the tape before this meeting. And I don't believe I used that word, but if I did, I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Somebody asked if a project could be accessed by Connecticut. And I had said no, because Eversource is also interested.
Well,
There's an
also-
Ever-
Just 1 minute, sir.
Yeah.
Just 1 minute, sir.
There's an Eversource easement that comes through the property of Webster Link Variety. That serves Dr. Sharma's house. He does not own that. There is no right. It's not wide enough for vehicular access and it's much too steep.
Yeah,
Mr.
that's
Connell?
what I heard the last time, is if there were too many rocks and the incline was too steep to use for access to this property. There was nothing said about this, is only an electrical easement. Okay, so where is this mysterious access?
Ms. Blanchett has said there is
I
no.
mean, if the engineer thought there was last week, that's a big mistake. How can you overlook that? I mean, that's beyond.
Thank you, sir. Sir,
John Morielli. In the traffic study, was there any consideration given to the construction vehicles for a 5-year project?
Ms. Blanchett.
Not specific.
Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, to directly affect.
Sorry, it's your name and address.
Tom Long, 17 Anselon Ave, which will directly affect my children who will be walking to and from the school bus at Thompson Road every day, morning, afternoon.
Thank you, sir. Yeah,
Um,
and then you.
Mia Long, 17 Aslan Ave. Are you guys going to read the notice that was sent from, I know I had spoken to Ann Morgan from the town of Webster in regards to this project about the emergency services, the hydrant, use that was redacted from Webster. I know I spoke to Ann Morgan about that. She had said that they redacted their use of the fire hydrant on Ryan Ave due to,
Yeah,
That's right. And the content of the
communication.
chief of police in Webster.
I'm sorry, Ms. Long has.
So yeah, so they had said, in March, they voted to grant the fire hydrant access, and on June 6th, they voted to rescind that access. They would need to seek another source of water for emergency purposes, so I didn't know if they had added a cistern to that plan. And also, sorry, my other issue, which I had brought up to Cindy as well, is the use of an illegal address on the application. There is no One Rattan Road in Webster. I've spoken to multiple people, the USPS, and I guess it's been an ongoing issue with Dr. Sharma for years now of using an illegal address in Webster, which I don't really want to dig through the papers, but as you guys can see on your application, it does state that his address is One Rattan Road. In addition to the One Rattan Realty, which if you Google that, that's not the address that that trust is listed in. So I'm just trying to figure out why that address was used on a legal application. Considering his only address is 1410 Thompson Road. It is not on any of the geo maps that Cindy and I had looked at. It has been illegally added to Google and it has been taken off of all public maps because it doesn't exist. There's no mail to that address. So that's really one of my main concerns. And I think, I'm not sure who is here to represent the town of Webster, but I know they very much wanted that to be read to you guys. And the 5th thing was the improper butter notification. There is nothing in Thompson zoning and planning that says he doesn't need to notify Massachusetts abutters. So there were 11 abutters in Massachusetts that should have been notified. I think, yeah, I don't think that was very considerate. I think that our neighborhood that's being directly affected should have been notified. The only people that were notified were on Thompson Road and a few of the plots of land that abut him. Harrington, a car wash, etc. So that was also something that was not followed. There's a lot of processes that haven't been followed in this project. I don't really want to take up much time, but that is a main issue. I think that the use of that illegal address on your legal application should have to be resubmitted.
Thank you, Ms. Long. And we do have, all the, you know, the letter from Mr. LaFawn, from, Mr. Cutler, Chief Shaw, those are all in those public record. Ma'am. Yeah, both of you, Cindy, she was.
Planning to run heavy construction equipment up and down a paved way with all kinds of interference to the way of life of the people who live there. If you're gonna be cutting down enough trees to do this project, you're gonna be running. I don't know if you have any idea what it looks like when you bring in and touch lots of trees for commercial purposes. Who's gonna make up for repairing that pavement when you guys ruin it? You're about to ruin the way of life for people who have done their very best. And if you approve this, all we're asking is another access. When I'm saying don't do the project, we're asking for another access. You're coming in from Thompson Road on a residential street. You're turning the corner onto Bryan Avenue, another residential street. You can say what you want about the rest of the neighborhood won't be impacted. That's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. There is another way to access. And this engineer said there was. Except for the fact that there were lots of rocks and feet. You know, this is knowing when you can't turn your head without running into a rock. I don't know if you're familiar with that area or not, but if you are, then you realize McGovern Lane is like at the height of top of McGovern Lane, you're almost on a direct line of vision with the top of Route 16. You don't get any secret in that. And I can tell you, there's no problem driving up that hill. I ask that you please think about the impact. It's unfair. There is no way to say it any otherwise. It's unfair.
Thank you, ma'am. And could you just, for the record, your name and address?
Dan O'Connell, McGovern Lane.
Thank you, ma'am. Cindy, and then I'll get to you. Cindy.
Okay, so I don't know if you're going to give the applicant opportunity to answer any of these questions that were asked. You have the information of the address, the supposed illegal address, and then Mr. Shamar can speak for the address that he's had there. And as far as the notification letters, it's a state statute that requires, instead of the notification letters over the state line, something like that. So you want them to address the letter? State statute, we only have to notify the voting town when there's zone changes.
Well, you didn't know.
So,
This is not a zone change.
Because Webster's.
This is not a zone change,
Oh.
it's a special permit.
That's a nice little.
Whose rule is
Okay,
that? Is that
state,
constant?
ma'am, sir,
Statute.
I'm gonna ask you to
What?
wait till you have the floor and
I'm responding to it.
and to address all comments through the chair.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Lawson.
I was gonna make the same point. We live up top Aslan Ave. If you drive up that road, that hill is incredible. I don't like riding bikes down. The fact they say they can't build a road from Thompson Road is, there's just no way you can do it. There's no engineer. Eversource looking at it and saying it can't be done. That's not an engineer study. It can be done. Anything can be done. Clearly this man values his privacy. He's lived in a 50-acre lot in the woods, and we're just asking for the same respect. We don't want our beautiful neighborhood to be their own driveway. Nobody cares if he builds it. We just are asking if he can build another access road through their own state.
Thank you, Mr. Lawson.
It was even suggested.
Mr. O'Connell.
Sorry.
Yeah, Mr. O'Connell?
I'm addressing,
Yes, yeah, no, I'm recognizing you.
it was brought up, that speed bumps could be added in the neighborhood. Okay, for a project that's in Connecticut. You're gonna put speed bumps in Massachusetts? No, we're not gonna do that. I can tell you that right now.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connell.
Um,
Ms. Long?
I'm sorry. I just wanted to read this, the invalid address, the special permit application for the project lists the applicant's address as 1 Rattan Road, Webster, Massachusetts. No such street address exists in Webster as verified by the Webster assessor and the United States Post Office, see attached. The application states that the site address is 1410 Thompson Road. However, there is no frontage in Thompson at that address. The town of Thompson should assign an official street address for the property that reflects actual frontage where emergency vehicles can be directed. In addition, the application should be amended to reflect a legal address for the existing house. As you can see on the special permit application, right there, I'm sure you guys have this paperwork, it does list 1 Rattan Road, Webster, Massachusetts. This was the address in which I was talking about, okay, on the special permit application. And also on Webster's letter to you guys, I guess that you are not going to read, I don't mean to be rude. Application processing improper abutter notification. Please be advised that the town of Webster was not notified as an official abutter to the project. Bryan Avenue is a town of Webster road and as such makes the town of Webster an official abutter. The town of Webster does not appear on the abutter list, which is not the responsibility of the Thompson assessor, but rather the applicant. Please send all future abutter correspondence, i.e. notice of decision to town of Webster, etc. There's just a lot of information on here that I felt needed to be read out.
Thank you.
Can
Ms.
you
Long.
address that address again?
Well, before we get to the address, I'd actually like to ask you, Ms. Dunn, again, to clarify about the statute regarding notification.
I don't have it in front of me, but Jen and I went through it. If you want to, I can go look for it, but that's what the statute says. So if you want me to go look
We've said
for it.
owners of roads are not considered abutters for public hearing notice. If that were the case, all public hearings in Thompson would have to include the town of Thompson or state of Connecticut as abutters for town or state roads. Is that accurate to you? Thank you, Ms. Dunn.
So.
I'm gonna let Ms. Dunn speak.
So in relationship to the address, what happens in our building office up here when the builder, when a building permit is taken out for, technically it would be like 0 at Thompson Road. They will have a Thompson Road address. The town assessor gives them an address, gives the address. And I have the paperwork from the town that said from Webster that says that that wasn't a legal address. I went into our assessor's office and they pulled it up, that it was a legal.
Road.
Yes. I think this is after we had our conversation that in this month's packet for, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know, can I say it, but Dr. Schmart has been getting mail there for what, 30 years or something? On that address? 40 years of that
At
address.
1410
No,
Thompson Road.
no.
I have notification, I should have printed it out, and you guys were given this from the town of Webster, town administrator Joseph Barodi Brown, the chairman, was sent to you guys stating that that address does not exist. It does not exist with the post
But it's
office.
received mail there.
He has not, because
So,
the
ma'am.
post office, there was also an attached
Mr.
document
Chairman.
from the USPS stating that address does not exist. There
Ms.
is no,
Long.
sorry.
Thank you. We have all of this information. The fact remains that since 1978, Dr. Sharma has received mail at that address.
Yeah, she has, I just, what you just showed, I am not allowed to be.
Mr. Chairman, for the satisfaction of the attendees of the public hearing, would you like me to read the letter into the record? It is noted in the first sentence of the letter that it would like to be entered into the public record.
Certainly.
Okay. Would you like me to do?
Yes, so Ms. Penn is going to read the letter.
Dear Mr. Perotti Brown, the town of Webster would like to go on the record at your next public hearing regarding the above referenced project. Town staff have had the opportunity to review the project file and have the following comments. 1, emergency services, police and fire. A limited mutual aid agreement between Tomster and Webster exists only with the Webster Fire Department. No such agreement exists with the Webster Police Department. Please see the attached email correspondence from the Webster Police Chief. 2, hydrant. In March 2024, the Webster Water and Sewer Commissioners voted to grant fire hydrant access to the project applicant, Dr. Sharma, and the town of Thompson. On June 6th, 2024, the commission voted to rescind their vote, see attached. The project applicant will need to seek another source of water for emergency purposes from the town of Thompson or via other engineering options. 3, dead-end streets / emergency vehicle circulation. The proposed roadway has 2 dead ends. The design does not take into consideration the need for adequate emergency vehicle maneuverability, in particular, large fire department trucks and equipment. As noted above, there is a limited mutual aid agreement with the town of Webster Fire Department. The proposed dead-end streets leave little to no room to accommodate not only the largest fire truck, but would not accommodate multiple emergency vehicle parking and/or command staging areas. A cul-de-sac at either end is recommended. If that is not possible, then a properly designed hammerhead turnabout is recommended. Please contact the Webster Fire Department for specifications for either solution. This is a public safety and emergency responder safety issue. 4, invalid street address. The special permit application for the project lists the applicant's address as 1 Rattan Road, Webster, Mass. No such street address exists in Webster as verified by the Webster Assessor, attached, and the United States Post Office, see attached. The application states that the site address is 1410 Thompson Road. However, there is no frontage in Thompson at that address. The town of Thompson should assign an official street address for the property that reflects actual frontage where emergency vehicles can be directed. In addition, the application should be amended to reflect a legal address for the existing house. 5, application processing improper abutter notification. Please be advised that the town of Webster was not notified as an official abutter to the project. Bryan Avenue is a town of Webster road and as such makes the town of Webster an official abutter. The town of Webster does not appear on the abutter list, which is not the responsibility of the Thompson assessor, but rather the applicant. Please send all future abutter correspondence, i.e. notice of decision, to Town of Webster Board of Selectmen, 350 Main Street, Webster, Mass. 01570. Please contact me or Ann Morgan, Director of Planning and Economic Development, if you have any questions or wish to discuss the matter further. Thank you sincerely, Rachel LaPond or LaFond, Town Administrator. And then a list of the attachments which were mentioned in the text of the
For
letter.
the record, Richard. Not Rachel, Richard.
Sorry, that does say Richard. Sorry, it's late in the night. My contacts get a little foggy.
I was just gonna give you my
Richard.
glasses.
Thanks, JBL.
Mr. O'Connell.
How did the mishap with the chief of police occur? I mean, no one consulted him? Because the statement apparently was made that Webster would provide police coverage for this, and there's a response that was part of the package, where the chief of police is quoted.
Ms. Blanchett, did you want to respond to that?
Yeah, well, the applicant's project is in Connecticut and he never expected or requested services from most of us. And I listened to the meeting minutes right before I came here from last month. It wasn't anything we submitted in writing or in our formal testimony. We expected Webster to provide police protection.
Ms. Long.
Oh, I see that address is coming up on.
It comes up when you go over the road. Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. Long.
Google is not accurate, and I was told by the town assessor's office and the USPS that that's not accurate. You need to use the geocache.
You can add any address you want on the Google, you just
Ms. Long, please continue.
I'm sorry, when you do Google One Merton Road Realty Trust, it brings it up as 72 Cudworth Road, which is his business, and now unfortunately I've lost my train of thought. Sorry, I'll get out. It's the number things.
Sir?
John Moriarty, 4 Windy Ridge Road. In that letter that you just read, it said, please forward all requests or notifications to Webster. Has anything been submitted to Webster so that they're notified of this project?
Can I answer that?
Ms. Dunn?
Your plan was Morgan came and took the record with her. I gave her all copies of everything in the record, and that's why they went through the record, and that's why we have that letter. I do not ever remember anything ever coming up about emergency services using the Webster police. And yes, as a courtesy to the town of Webster, I certainly will write send them a notice as to the action of the planning and zoning commission on this application. Yes, I will do that. And I wrote that in my memo to my planning and zoning commission members, so I will be sending that letter to the town of Webster.
Ms. Long?
Thank you, Cindy. I know Cindy and Anna have been really helpful in the whole process. Cindy and I have spent quite some time going through paperwork, so I truly appreciate her. So I was going to say though, I think what they're confusing is, Dr. Sharma had asked for the access to the fire hydrant. It was never expected that the police would go into Connecticut at all. They are not allowed to cross. And the reason they redacted that hydrant use was because our resources are not allowed to cross the Connecticut line. Which is why they had asked him to add a cistern for the emergency issues and such.
Thank you, Ms. Dr. Sharma.
Lot has been said, it's about time. I didn't intend to speak, but I think I should speak few things. I have lived in Thompson since 1978, and I had good rapport with the town of Webster. I lived there or worked there. A lot of town officials, police chiefs came and left. I have working relationship with the town fire and everything. In fact, when I was giving the vaccination to the community, I was the second largest center for vaccination COVID in state of Massachusetts, and the town fire department helped me, and the fire department helped me to do the delivery of COVID vaccination, 10,000 to Webster population. As far as the address is concerned, this was assigned by the post office, Mr. Lester Magnet in 1980s. I went to him because I was not getting an email. I said, could I have a mailing address so that urgent mail could come? He said, that's no problem. We go up to 12, 13 brand, we can put it, it's not a big deal. So it went on, and over the period of time, it got accepted. But all my legal driver license and everything is town of Thompson, 4010 Thompson Road, because all the other legal paperwork, my banking accounts and all those come to that account. The lot of has been said about the traffic. About a month ago, and Janet probably will watch this, I got a call from someone living on Ashland Avenue that they have a lot to sell me, which abuts my property. I said to her, will that be useful to us? Somebody on Ashland Avenue has a lot, they would like to sell it to me. If I bought that lot, would that really reduce the traffic? No. But I said, I'm willing to consider it if that helps. But she said, the lot abuts the wetlands. So we couldn't do it. Not that we don't want to help and do this, but somebody on Ashland Avenue, I have no who that was. I said to that, listen, I will check with Janet and see if that we will proceed. I clearly know who that is, but I don't think it's a good idea for me to embarrass anybody that they have double standards. As far as the water is concerned, when I called Mr. Cutler and sent him a letter, he said, we have never refused it to anybody. This is a humane cause and a fire urgency. We will never do this. I will check with my superiors and get back to you. 2 weeks later, he sent me the letter. So it was not a knee-jerk reaction. It was checked. Obviously, some people in the community thought by doing this water thing, the project can be derailed. But anyhow, there are many other options which we were explored, and it adds a small cost of few $100s per house. That probably is good for my friends and families living there to have on site rather than even going 300 yards or 400 yards down. So as far as, if I could get the access from Thompson Road up, I just want to let them know, I'll be delighted to, because then I can put 50 houses. Why do I get to do this? This is a compromise, because if I have access, I've got a big road there. I'm not doing this as a financial project. I want to move in there myself with my friends. And this project is not going to make me iota rich because it's going to be cost plus. So its whole motive is not just to do this. There's a need for it. I have been looking for this. I have few friends who want to come in there with us. They all live in Massachusetts. They don't live in Connecticut. So I think that to demarket, this is Connecticut, this is Massachusetts. It looks like as if Russia is talking to China. I mean, we are in the same part of the world. And I don't understand their concern. If there is anything I can help to mitigate their concern, I'll be delighted to do it. But it is not really fair for town of Thompson, who's a resident I am for 40 years, to not to look at objectively and do a fair hearing. That's all I request.
Mr. Long.
Based on the Thompson Road access, I would like to see that there was some sort of actual engineering that went into deciding that this could be done or not done, because right now it's just him saying that they can't do it. There's no engineers or anything, and they very well might have done it. I'm not aware of it, and I would like to see where and why they say they can't do it. Based on the road and how our road is on a big hill and everything, I don't really understand. And based on the water, he's bringing up humanitarian concerns and all this other stuff. My work, we built a new building right on the Webster Town line in Oxford. And we asked for a variance to use their water because we did not have town water, we only had well. We could only build such a big building without access to the water. And they told us no, because guess what? We weren't residents of Webster. We weren't paying Webster's taxes for Webster services. Webster services those fire hydrants, they pay for them. So if you're a resident of Thompson, why should you be able to use Webster's tax money that is paid for all these things for your own use? You're not contributing to our town. You're just going to use our resources and pay taxes to a different town.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Ms. Long.
I just wanted to say to Dr. Shermer, we're not trying to derail your project, and we don't want any animosity, we really don't.
And again, just.
So from my part, that's what I'm saying. I don't understand about the Aslan app because, you know, when I did find out, which was very late about this because we weren't notified, I did canvass the neighborhood. It's kind of how we all have ended up here. But I do want to see the statute that you and I'm sorry, I forget her name, Gwen, Janet, I'm sorry. Because the one that I found, it said the commission shall, in accordance with section 8-7D of the Connecticut General Statutes as amended, notify the clerk of any adjoining municipality by certified mail. Return receipt as defined by section 8-7DC of the Connecticut General Statutes, requested within 7 days of receipt of any application, petition, appeal, request, or plan concerning any project site in which any portion of the property affected by a decision of the commission is within 500 feet of the boundary of an adjoining municipality. Webster is an adjoining municipality, which is why they did state in there that they should have been notified. I wish that I had printed it out, because she wasn't able to provide me that either when we had met in person, about the abutter information. So I have gone and done some searching myself, and there is nothing that says he does not need to notify, or anyone in Connecticut does not need to notify an adjoining municipality or an abutter out of state. Nowhere does it state that it isn't over state lines. It just is simply an abutter. Okay. I'm an abutter. I own the property behind my name. I'm an abutter. Everyone on Aslan Ave is an abutter. We should have been notified. That's why we're upset. So that's the point I'm trying to get across. It just seemed as though there were some things, and the further we looked into it, these processes that are supposed to be followed were not followed. The address being one of my major concerns. So I'm not here to start a war. I want him to know we're not trying to derail it. There is no animosity in my heart. We're just trying to understand what's going on, the process, and make sure that things are followed the way that they should be. Thank you.
Ms. Blanchard?
The commission can let me know how much you want me to go into any of this information, but to the best of our ability, we have complied with Connecticut statutes on notice to abutters. For special permits, I see the special permit application multiple times, you get the road in front. The owner of the road in front doesn't get notified as one of the lists of abutters. It never has been done in 40 years, and Cindy is correct about the zone change. To the best of my knowledge, I believe she consulted the town attorney. So hopefully that covers the notice, and I did write a response letter to the Webster's letter, and I think you have that included in your packet. So I don't want to carry on and take too much of your time. If you need any clarification about or answer regarding the address, and basically there is a difference between a mailing address and a subject parcel address. And the subject parcel address has always been correctly 1410 Thompson Road. An applicant can change their address 3 times in the course of an application. So a mailing address is in no way can invalidate the process. It's the subject parcel address that's correct.
Thank you, Ms. Blanchard. Ms. Long?
We're not talking about the 1410 Thompson Road address. The address in which I'm speaking of is the 1 Rattan Road, Webster, Massachusetts, on the application. I do have here, and as you saw in that notice from the assessor's office, that it does not exist. On June 3rd, to whom it may concern, this letter is to confirm that Rattan Road does not currently and has never existed in the town of Webster, Massachusetts. Sincerely, Mark D. Becker, Assessor, Town of Webster. And that was actually sent, all of this information had been sent to Dr. There's a big chain going.
But it was also in the record.
Yeah,
you
this
know,
is all in our
record.
packets,
Yes.
which all constitute the record of this application. Ma'am,
Terry Rivera. I live on Windy Ridge Road, which is also affected with the Aslan Bryan situation off of McGovern. I'm picturing that many cars coming in off of Thompson Road onto Bryan and into this neighborhood for over how many years? Well, who's gonna maintain that road? Who's gonna maintain fixing it, repaving it, when all of that traffic is causing the wear and tear? That's not right.
thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rivera. Ma'am,
Cynthia Zach, I'm on 7 McGovern Lane, which is the corner of Bryan Ave. I am very concerned about construction vehicles coming in for the next 5 years there, right on that corner. I know there's children right across the street from me that play in the street all the time, because it's a nice, quiet neighborhood, very little traffic there. And I'm concerned with people going around that corner that my property is like construction vehicles going around that corner at speeds that I don't think are really conducive to that kind of a neighborhood. The neighborhood has been so quiet there. I've been there 42 years myself. So it is a nice quiet neighborhood. I'm not looking forward to construction vehicles, and I think there's a lot of children that might be in danger of being that come in and out of there.
thank you, Ms. Long. Ms. O'Connell?
The idea of traffic, yes, there's no question about it. And particularly on my phone, it's thinking something. But the fact of the matter is, before anything else gets said, you're
you're going to be running the heaviest of construction equipment up and down those two streets. And it's impossible to think that there will be no damage there. There will be. It's just, honestly, it's inconceivable that the town of Thompson would consider this without demanding an alternate route. It's inconceivable. And it's not justifiable. That's one thing. The other thing I would like to say, please show us where all of that place that was so rocky you couldn't do anything with it. Show us where that is on the map, please.
Can you indicate on the,
There was never any statements made that a road could not be constructed because something was rocky.
That is true.
You
You said that.
you said, you spoke about the grading?
Yes. At the last public hearing, I said that the property does not, Dr. Turner does not own any land that has frontage on Thompson Road, and that he explored adjacent properties to see if there could be access because Eversource was into it. So I did study the adjacent properties in case he could purchase property. The neighbor, they're either developed along the northern end or too steep where there's wetlands. And that's not a part of this application. When we came to the commission in 2022, we explained that there wasn't access to Route 193 Thompson Road. And there isn't access, and you can never say never, but it would not be accomplished in any easy or practical manner.
Mr. O'Connor?
The engineer had finished her presentation at the last meeting. The charts were already, I think, against the wall. And I asked the question about the rocks and the hill, and she repeated it. I mean, I'm stood right there. We're not making up fictitious stories here.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. O'Connor.
So that's led me to believe that there really is indeed another.
Thank you, Mr. O'Connor. Just 1 second.
May I suggest to the gentleman, because Ms. Blanchette has indicated that she intentionally listened back to the recording of the meeting, that you would also do the same. Because if there is a miscommunication, people mishear things all the time, misremember things in casual conversation, but the record, which is a recording, is available to you.
Was the conversations that occurred in the parlor a part of the record?
That's not part of the public record of this hearing.
Well, she had finished her formal presentation. Okay, and she said.
Thank you.
Was it during the course of the meeting? Did she say that to you?
We will leave on, I mean, the meeting was dismissed, but we had gotten up.
So it's on the recording then.
Mr. Long.
I'm sorry?
It's on the recording.
I would like to ask, she just said, never say never about there being an access road from Thompson Road. Was there any actual study or engineering or anything done to actually pursue this? Or did you just give up when nobody would sell you the property? Or was it actually, planned in any way, shape, or form?
Do you care to answer?
Would you like me to answer that, Mr. Chairman? Yes, there was an analysis of the existing grading. There was a check of multiple different properties. It was not feasible and prudent, so it was not included as part of this application.
So was it too expensive?
It's not part of the application because it wasn't. That's Ms. Blanchett's. Ms. Long.
I did find the town of Thompson, Connecticut, 275-5.7 public hearing requirements for special permits. All applicants or their agents requiring a public hearing under the provisions of these regulations shall be responsible for notifying owners of property within 200 feet of the subject property. With the submission of any application to the commission, the applicant shall provide a copy of the notice from the applicant to the surrounding property owners. Such notice shall be sent under a certificate of mailing at least 10 days prior to the date of the scheduled public hearing. Now, this is the one that Cindy and I had reviewed, and she did say, she gave me the list of the abutters that were notified. There are 4 on here, all of which were in Connecticut. Nowhere does it say that you guys, that he or any project, special permit application does not need to notify Massachusetts abutter. I just want that on the record.
Yeah.
That is in statutes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me stop on.
So he doesn't go down.
The way you are, you couldn't imagine that, you couldn't make that statement up. And that's a statement that was made. The question was, where? Yeah, and now, just now, it's like you just said a few minutes ago. You can't do some projects easily. We're not talking easily. It isn't too easy, what we're all gonna be going through, those of us who live up there. Easy is not the question. Can it be done? And if there's anything else that needs to be attended to, that's it. We need to have another access road, period. And for the whole town of Parkland, you have to say. Unbelievable.
Thank you, Ms. O'Connor. Mr. Rutherford.
The engineer. Did you guys ever consider having a fire hydrant suction line into the body of water if you're allowed?
What body of water?
The body of water that's on this property, that's on his,
It's a wetland, it doesn't, it's not a pond.
it looks like there's about 4 feet deep of water on it. According to the elevations.
Okay, there really isn't that much standing water in that wetland.
Okay.
Wait, are you talking about the proposed stormwater basin?
You got the 10,000 gallon tank for fire, correct? Now, this body of water,
I guess, can I,
would he be able
do you
to,
mind if I look and see what you're talking about? Which one?
on this right here, to add right next to the septic system, some kind of fire retention pond, have a fire retention suction line to feed for the houses in case they catch on fire?
There is no standing water at that point. We walk all through that area with the wetlands commission. It's not impounded. There's no standing water.
Okay,
I walked it with them, so, and, you know,
yeah, I'm just giving a second thought because you got the 10,000 gallon tank. And you got a body of water on the side of it, and if it's a swamp, it's a swamp, but if it's a body of water that's holding thousands of gallons, why can't we use it for, if this project was to go through?
Exactly. If it was a pond, if it was an impoundment, that would be a great suggestion. This is a woodland, shrub woodland, so it's actually not a shrub wetland. It's actually one of the drier wetlands you can see. You can walk right through it
Yeah,
without getting your feet wet.
Anything else, Mr.?
and in regards to the people that are butting the property, I think that, putting restrictions on heavy equipment and deliveries, not to be done during school times. I myself have been restricted on my jobs during school times. Of when they go on the bus and when they get off the bus, I think that should be included. The workers driving in with, light duty vehicles should be able to have access to get to the project. But heavy equipment should be restricted to certain times and be kept off that road during certain times. There was a couple more things, right? Losing track of, what I wanted to think of.
Thank you.
Yeah, one other thing was, when you guys tried to look up of the property that you do not own, you're not able to buy or purchase or lease a section to the shortest part of coming into this property on Thompson Road?
I looked at it and actually asked Janet that it would be nice if we could do this, and she said it is virtually impossible to use any of them because the slope is too much.
Okay.
So we tried that because that would be much better for us as well.
Yeah,
It
it
was
was,
possible,
but
but
was
that
it
was not
talking about a
possible.
permanent road? A road that would be, dirt maintained by construction vehicles only? Like heavy equipment and stuff, not commercial vehicles coming and going like the workers and the pickup trucks and the cars and stuff like that. I think they should go like the government road, but as far as Thompson Road, all construction equipment, if it was possible.
It's not possible.
Okay.
Thompson requires a 12% maximum driveway or road, and it's not.
What's the percentage of the grade over there?
Probably 30%. If you're standing at Webster Variety, you guys are probably all familiar with that, and you
Yeah,
look up.
okay.
That's us.
Yeah, the construction vehicles will not be able to go up 30% without struggling or even failing. Mr. Long.
I hear a lot of probablys and stuff. It doesn't seem like there was any real study or thought that went into this. I'm not trying to be offensive in any way, but it doesn't seem like, it just looks like she looked at it and went, we can't do that. I don't see, I mean, I can tell you my road's got more than a 12% grade. Like, I don't believe it for a second. I think it needs to be relooked because it would solve a lot of problems. Because I don't think a single person in this neighborhood cares if he builds this. We just don't want to be his driver.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Mr. Morelli?
There was mention to an age limit on this community. What was that age limit this is being passed through as?
55 and over.
Not 30?
No, 55 and over.
Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, discussion of demographics of who's going to be living in or around any construction project is a civil rights violation and not an area that this commission can comment on.
Ms. Long.
I was on the Zoom meeting. I know that there was talk about, the need for caregivers. I think that's what we're referring to, for a disabled child. So we were told at the end of the meeting that something would be put in place to make sure that it was 55 plus, unless there was a certain circumstance. I forget what word that was and what exactly it needed to be.
That's a declaration, and that goes through attorneys, and our attorney gets it and reads it. But if I'm not mistaken, it was the caregivers were for the elderly, and they said 30, and I hear what you said before, but they brought it up at the last public hearing that was they were going to accept people that were 30 years and over.
And certainly
Because they
Ms.
would need
Penn's point,
caregivers.
yes, right.
Yeah.
Ms. Penn's point as well, too.
Yeah.
Mr. Rollins. I'm gonna, get into that, 55 and over, all the developments that I do, you can only buy the house if you're 55 and over. If you're a caregiver, and most of the people that live in these developments do not have caregivers. And if they do have a caregiver, it's usually their child, either a son or a daughter. And most of them are 60 and above, because most of these people are in their late ages that need caregiving. And I've never seen in my 55 and over developments, but one house that had a 20-year-old in it. And that 20-year-old is never there, they're in college. And I've never seen caregivers come and go, like you guys, foresee that they're coming and going all day, all night, stuff like that. They come in, they do their job, and they usually go home if they're living somewhere else. If they live with that person, it's usually a relative. Thank you. Ms. Long.
I guess our thought to that was you have a 2-story home of 2,400 square feet for 55 plus and not for 1 or 2 people. I don't know what senior needs 2,400 square feet. I live in a 1,200 square foot ranch on Aslan Ave with 2 children. So we're just trying to make sure, as it's been stated by Dr. Sharma, that it's the community for his friends and family. That is in one of the meeting minutes from April. So we're trying to make sure that friends and family doesn't mean the spouses, and I know it states that there's no children, but we're looking out for our community and the traffic and
Thank you, Ms. Lee.
people in our neighborhood drive. Our neighborhood is mainly 80 and 90-year-old people and a few younger people. Okay, they've been there for 40-something years. There is plenty of traffic in our neighborhood right now, not compared to Main Street or anything like that. But I do want to say, I think your point is kind of null and void. If you're 55, you're not just sitting at home doing nothing all day. You can't tell me that you're sitting at home doing nothing. My neighbor across the street, he's 93 years old. His name is Don. He is a Korean War vet. He goes out multiple times a day. I see his car 6-7 times a day leave that garage. Okay, more than me.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walsh. Mr. Crowell.
I only have a question, and it's really not pertaining to, it may pertain to this, but Thompson Hill West. And Randy, do you remember why we have 2 driveways over there?
At one time, we required to have the zoning regs require, if you had more than a certain number of houses, and I'm gonna say, I'm just calling from memory, which my memory is going hell fast. It was either 10 or 12 houses on a single access road, otherwise you had to have
Another way out.
yeah.
But
I don't think that, I think that got dropped out of the regulations.
It is not in the current regulations. That is correct.
I mean, I haven't been here that, I mean, I think for a while, but I don't remember that, but I do remember hearing something about 2 driveways.
Yeah, that was back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah.
Well, it was
Maybe,
later than that, I
about
think
that.
it was.
Mr. Lane.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Point of order. Point of order, please. I have had my hand up for a long time and no one has recognized me. This is Valerie Clark.
My apologies, Ms.
So,
Clark.
sorry, Valerie, when I have the screen share, I can't always see the hands.
Yes. I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms. Clark. My apologies.
Valerie Clark, Ulm Road. My question is, the cistern that was added to the plan, was that the same plan that was reviewed with the cistern at the Inlands Wetlands Commission, or was the cistern added after that review?
The cistern was added after, but it's well outside the 100-foot upland review area. It's not near the wetlands.
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
I have a follow-up question, if I might, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely.
What's the impact of the cistern on the wetlands?
No, Ms. Blanchard.
There's no impact to the wetlands for the cistern. It's right next to the road. It's far from the wetlands. It's filled up independently from another outside water source from the fire department. It doesn't rely on water from the wetlands, if that's what, not the wetlands.
I'm asking what feeds the cistern. And so you're saying,
The fire department brings in water and they fill that cistern from their tanker trucks. And they have to check it annually to make sure it didn't evaporate or develop a leak.
okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Mr. Lane.
Oh, all right.
Renewing your motion?
Yeah, yes.
Mr. Lanky has moved to close public hearing. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mr. Papaski seconds. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes will close public hearing, a no will keep it open. Mr. Hill.
Alvin Hill, yes. Mike Kirkland, no.
Russell Robin, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Dave Plosky, yes.
Randy Blackmar, yes.
Ryan Kennard, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Zora
Guys, Orlovac, yes.
and Joseph Brody Brown, yes. 9 yeses, 1 no. The public hearing is closed. Item 5, discussion of public hearing.
Pretty much in a dilemma here, Mr. Chair, so, we need to really tread lightly.
Cindy, in your, memo, you indicated that in your, opinion, the application meets the requirements for a special permit from this district.
Yes, it does. Oops. Yes, it does, and then I also included, all the information that was sent over from the town secretary.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Mr. Williams.
I'm wondering if I hate to do this again because we did it last time, if we should put this on hold again and give everybody the notices in Massachusetts that to cover all of the regulations and to have some there really should be some discussion about repairing roads if something happens to the roads over there. I know that has nothing to do with us because of being Massachusetts.
The public hearing has been closed.
If you follow your suggestion, then he has to reapply, you go through the whole process. It can
We have in fact already closed the public hearing.
You can delay a decision if you're looking for answers such as, you have 65 days to make a decision. If you're looking for answers as who's responsible for repairing Bryan Road, if you want to get those answers in.
I think we should get them answers in before we vote on anything myself.
Cindy, would that not be an improper take of new information once the public hearing is closed?
Yeah, well, no, because it was discussed during the public hearing.
Fair enough.
If you discuss it during the public hearing, you can follow up with the answers.
Fair enough.
Mr. Poplawski.
You know, my only input, Ray, is that the way I look at it, the town of Webster had sufficient time to question us about the roads, about the width, about the use, knowing that this project was intended for what it was used, what was applied for. So if you look at it for face value, they didn't say anything about that. They questioned the fire hydrant, they questioned a few things and, made their comments. It didn't sound like they had any problems. I don't think it's our jurisdiction to go, it's a taxpayer road, just like people from Webster come through Thompson to go up Wilson Road to get on the highway, right? It's the same. We pay taxes, they pay taxes. I don't think they had a concern with the roads, so I don't feel that's a problem. If they would have had a problem, they would have said it. That's my opinion on it. They were pretty detailed on their response.
I will concur, Mr. Chairman, that my equivalent from Webster, Ms. Morgan, did come in and speak extensively to Cindy. I joined in those conversations a little bit, but mention of everyday wear and tear on the roads was not one of the concerns. She outlined all of her concerns in the letter.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't start that. No, go away. There.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Pulaski.
I know we did talk about conditions last month, and I can't recall what they were. There was talk about, I think there was the directory at the front of the gate, and then putting a gate. I believe there was like putting a gate there or something for access, or an emergency call for a gate. I know we didn't talk about a gate or anything. I don't know if Janet, when you listened to did you hear anything about the conditions we had talked about, or?
Is it appropriate if I answer the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
There were more like suggestions. There was the suggestion of putting the slow children sign. There was a suggestion of putting a directory, and the discussion was to make sure that emergency vehicles would have the codes to the gate. The codes to the gate are such smart technology would be utilized so that emergency responders would have easy and quick access
Yeah, because we had discussion about being able for the, I think you brought it up, Ray, is like, how would they know to go there? Like
Well,
the
that was-
GPS coordinates or something, or, you know, for notification?
I brought up signs down on the end of McGovern Lane, so that
Is that what it was?
I looked for that address,
Yeah,
for the first, when we got it the first time around.
yeah, and it's not gonna take you that way. If,
Well,
if an emergency out of Danielson, like say Troop D comes up,
Well, Dr. Sharma said that Troop D, they know where that address is.
Oh.
And
yeah,
the fire department knows that address.
yeah.
You know, they've already been notified of, from what you said last time.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman, I'm not sure that the Planning and Zoning Commission of the town of Thompson has the authority to condition road signs being put in the town of Webster without the consent of the town of Webster. Doesn't mean they wouldn't consent, but I think the most you could do with such a condition would be to request of the town of Webster that Dr. Sharma be allowed to install those
The
signs.
town of Webster right now is going through all kinds of stuff with road signs. I read in here, actually, so that they're going through their own, stuff right now with road signs.
So that would
And
be a
then-
condition that the town of Webster would be requested. You know, the letter
Right,
that
we
is
could
being
be-
sent to them. they would
Yeah,
request that.
just for if it ends up as a condition, it's got to be phrased in such a
Right,
way
yeah.
that we can't tell the town of Webster that we're going to put signs up on their property.
Telling them the speed bumps, right, way you can do that.
Correct.
The wayfinder at the gate to direct within the community is separate from
Yeah,
this.
And-
I
and
just, we
that
had
would
good
be in there.
conditions that we were talking about. I just want to make sure that, you know, we go to approve it, that we have those conditions in that we had mentioned last time. And I know those couple of things did come up, so I want to make sure that those were
Top of mind.
brought up. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Kapowski.
I'm just looking through, you know, the minutes and.
The emergency at the gate was.
Right, yeah.
Uh,
We've got good ones.
Is it something for trash too, trash receptacles or something,
Maybe
or?
behind a fence or something. When you find them. Gate.
No, I don't see anything.
Oh, I thought you were looking.
Yeah,
at
I- sorry, I was.
You know,
Page 3.
I
Fourth
really-
down.
I really think that the concept that Dr. Sharma is looking at is super and needed. But if it were my project, I don't know whether we can suggest that. They said it wasn't gonna be easy to make a road up there or another access road. But if it were my project, I'd be looking to see if there was a way to do that. I mean, I'll stay in Connecticut. And I don't know. That's my thoughts on it. I don't. They can take it as a suggestion or leave it.
Thank you, Mr. Kapowski.
Thank you.
What else?
I don't know if you want to, ask if you want to, if you can put conditions, on the phases of the development. So that the residents know when there's gonna be development, because it's gonna be in phases.
What are you suggesting, Cindy?
Yeah,
Are you-
That they say, they give an idea of the time for these phases, you know, how long each phase is gonna take.
So you're suggesting as a condition, notification of the Webster abutters
Yeah, that would be. good.
prior to the actual start of construction?
Somehow we have to get their addresses, because Matt Geo did not give their addresses. As about it within 200 feet, all we got was the addresses, well, all they got was the addresses from.
I would submit that under the circumstances, my equivalent in the town of Webster would
Would give us
probably be
the-
happy to
right,
pull that
right.
list.
And then I think Mr. Robbins, point about when the large vehicles are coming through,
There should be conditions for that.
Absolutely.
Where they're restricted from coming and going from the property for children not to be allowed. But they should, Dr. Sharami should go to Webster and have the signs put down at the end of McGovern Road. No deliveries to Shanty Village during these times. And also that he would have directional signs put on McGovern Road and Bryanville Road to show where the entrance of the development is, so that other vehicles do not go through the whole neighborhood to disturb other abutters there and their children and put them in danger.
Oh, yeah, those would be requests.
Yeah, but that's what I'm
That we
saying,
could
the
do, yeah.
request, he would have to go to Webster and request that.
So. So you're doing a lot of conditions and sometimes we sort of,
Well, we're just talking right now.
Okay.
We're just
All right.
discussing.
you know, what my suggestion is all these conditions written down and so that. You know, if you continue the vote to next month, Aaron and I can sit down, look at the minutes, see what the conditions were. And come up with very legal, conditions, make sure we've send them through the attorney. Make sure that they're legal for us to make those conditions, et cetera. I mean, it's a lot here, and then, you know, can you wait another month for your decision? I mean, are you gonna break out ground in 15 days after the decision is made?
Dr. Chairman.
We started this November 22, and we are 18 months into this rigorous process. I will think whatever needs to be done, we will comply it for the safety of the neighbor and the children. That's human, that's expected from any reasonable person. I don't think we need to have written, that's I understood. Even if it's not written, that should be done by us in any case, because destroying or troubling the neighborhood and causing disturbance to the young children. I have 7 grandchildren. It doesn't make sense. So we will abide by whatever the committee rules. I prefer to have a closure today so that we can move on, because this is already 60 days. Last month we came because there was technical glitch. And now I think if you delay it, will this and that. As a citizen of council, I feel I request that this could be given a decision today if possible. That's a request.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Popowski.
You know, my only input is if we wait another month, we're putting conditions on another state, we're gonna, you know, they'll be legal and dotted and everything else, but we're just wasting another month putting stuff to another state who doesn't even have to abide by them, right? The conditions, we can place the conditions for what our town, for the
Right.
property in our town, but we're gonna take another month to write conditions for the town of Webster that they're not even gonna.
The conditions are for the town of Webster.
Their request.
Some of what's being discussed will require the cooperation
Well,
of
the
the town.
sign, the sign of children, slow children. I mean, I would imagine there'd be a sign there already, because there are children in the neighborhood, but.
So I think Cindy's suggestion is just that she and I would work to make sure that the language of the suggested conditions was precise. The public hearing is already closed. There can't be any more testimony.
We can only discuss what was discussed in the public hearing.
Right, so. And tell me if I'm wrong, Cindy, but I believe what she's responding to is, as you say, Dr. Perotti Brown, we're just talking right now, and the language is very fuzzy. So if you continue your action because you're not continuing the public hearing anymore, that's closed. If you're just delaying the action for 1 more month, the only action that would be left would be to read those precise conditions. You could approve them individually or not, and then vote up or down on the application. I believe that is your suggestion. Is that correct?
I think it's too serious for me to look at the minutes, say, okay, what do the minutes say? What do my notes say? I do that a lot, but the conditions are limited. This is a little bit more detailed. And I'd like to see a little more professionalism go into the wording, the language of the conditions, and Tara and I can do that together.
And just by way of example, Russell has said that on many of his construction projects, he has limitations to when heavy equipment could be moved in. I would like to see that precise language from one of your,
Right.
It can be requested from.
yeah, that, and that would be helpful to us because we haven't specifically done that kind of limitation as a
Right.
condition.
So suggestions for that would be helpful
Mhm.
tonight.
So Cindy, could you recap, please, the conditions you have noted currently?
Okay, with the parking sign, we got the parking signs to the hammerhead,
Mhm.
no parking signs to the hammerhead. Directory where the houses are. Signs for, slow children. The emergency vehicle, access will be submitted to the fire department through smart technology, I use that word, smart technology. And scan the photos list, let's see, heavy equipment restricted in certain times. And workers will have reasonable access to the property in their own private personal vehicles. Okay. Okay, no, that's it. Did I mumble them or did I just explain
No,
explain it
is there
clearly?
anything-
Sorry.
No, that was clear to me. Are there any that,
Well, there's one suggestion I probably would make is, to piggyback off of him is that for whatever company that's gonna be used to help put these buildings up, sometimes what they do instead of bringing in, letting all of their workers come in with their own vehicles, they meet in a certain spot and bring them in on a van, so you minimize the vehicles on the site. That is always done on construction, good, size construction, and this one will probably be, but because of where it is and everything, that would be my recommendation or condition about using a van, because they can get vans, and that they can take in 8, 9, 10 people at a time.
thank
You
you.
got that, Cynthia? Ms. Dunn, I mean,
Yes, but,
Yes, you got it.
you got it?
yeah,
Writing it right now.
I'm writing it down.
I think that would be a very helpful.
Dr. Sherman.
I think all those suggestions are valid, reasonable, and I have no problem complying with them. And you guys can say this is okay, as long as these provisions are granted, I have no problem. I think they all make logical sense, safety, and I have no trouble in complying with those additional requirements. That's, I think, is okay with me.
So I have to get this absolutely correct, because this goes in your special.
No, your word, I'm just.
As a condition.
Okay, thank you.
Hearing no others, I will move tabling the decision until our next regular meeting.
A second.
Motion has been made and seconded to table the decision till our next regular meeting. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Williams?
Kevin, did you get who made it and who seconded it?
Get a letter.
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Probably all the ones that aren't here.
Cindy, the thing you had said about notification.
Right, I'll just call Ann, Tara said call her, or I'll call Ann, she'll get that. This is others from, because, our map geo just gives the Connecticut.
Right, but we want that as, right,
Yeah,
the
her map geo will give
notification
me,
for the phases.
for the what?
The notification before each
Phase 1,
phase.
2, 3, 4.
Right, you had
Oh, yeah,
suggested that,
okay,
but.
oh,
then you
yes,
write it down,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, right.
Mr. Paprocki.
Cindy, I meant to ask this before, thank you. The way we get notified from Webster Douglas in our packets for like their agenda items, we don't correspond with them?
No,
Oh, really?
no.
I thought we did. So Webster,
Amendment.
Dudley and Douglas, all three notify us.
Amendments. We get-
Zoning amendments.
Zoning amendments, proposals, I've seen like special permit
Oh, yeah, your
requests.
CBA.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was wondering about that too.
So they just notify, we don't tell them.
No.
We don't have, okay. I just thought it was reciprocal.
It should be.
Well, let's.
Yeah, it's all,
do some further. investigation.
why,
I mean, you're in charge of your regulations, you can make that you can amend your regulations to do that.
I think we should. I just
You
thought,
can
I just
hire-
thought it did.
You can hire administrative assistant, just.
Well, no, it's a public, I mean, just a notice.
Well, it is
itself.
different state statutes too. That may already be
Important
built
to
into
know.
Massachusetts state statutes. We don't know.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That
that's what I
wouldn't be
was-
a part of our.
Could be. Well, quite close.
Okay, so the motion is to table. Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes will table, a no will take another action to be determined. Mr. Lanky,
Yes.
Mr. Penoyer,
Randy Bachman, yes.
Dave Poplowski, no.
Ray Williams, yes.
Russell Robin, yes.
Mike Trouble, yes.
Calvin Hill, yes. Ms. Orr?
Kaiser Levesque, yes is to close, right?
Yes.
The
it's
table.
Table for a month.
Yes, 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 sorry. Blonde moment.
And Joseph Cody Brown, yes. 9 yeses, 1 no. The motion or the application decision is tabled to our next regular meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Which is located where?
We're here next week, next month, right? We're here.
Oh, yeah.
We're here, yeah.
We're here, I think it's August, somebody changes the review of TBA, I can't remember.
Actually, let me check that because there's a primary in,
It's August, I think.
is that primary in August? Okay.
22nd of June. 22nd here, it says.
July 22nd, 7 o'clock here.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
You want?
It's actually on the agenda as well.
Yeah.
Make an agenda.
Grab an agenda, turn it back.
Second. Item 6. Item 6 is citizens' comments. Okay, I have one, but I wanna, if anyone's in the room or on Zoom. I am reading this letter that was received on June 19th, 2024. Addressed to the chair of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission. Recent subcommittee discussion of Thompson zoning regulations. Dear Chairman, I am requesting this letter to be read into the record of the next P and Z committee meeting. My name is Joanne Hall, and I am a longtime resident of Thompson, a volunteer on the Economic Development Commission, EDC, Mill Sites Redevelopment Advisory Committee, MISRAC, and the Ordinance Committee. I am also a residential real estate agent with 40 years of experience in our area. I am writing to you today because I was very disturbed to learn that after all the work done in the last few years to improve the economic outlook in Thompson, certain members of the Planning and Zoning Commission are arguing to undo some of the important improvements to our zoning regulations. It seems as though they object to allowing any construction of new homes and apartments in town, even though all of Northeast Connecticut is experiencing one of the worst housing shortages we have ever experienced. The commission members who don't like the new regulations seem to particularly object to construction of new multifamily rental dwellings and seem to think we don't have enough space for them in Thompson. Really, the footprint of a single apartment building is a lot smaller than building the same number of units as single-family homes. Look at the plan for converting St. Joseph's School. That will add 40 small apartments in town, allowing 40 young singles or couples to start their lives in Thompson without having to create new subdivisions that require cutting up any of our existing available land. Do these existing individuals know what homes are selling for in Thompson right now? Do they know that the new condos on Buckley Hill Road are selling for $400,000? Do they know that a 650 square foot, 1-bedroom newly constructed house is currently under contract for more than $320,000? Are they aware that there is not a single dwelling in this town for sale right now for under $230,000? We've been talking for years about the critical need for homes for our seniors so they can downsize, or our young people to buy their first homes in their own community, but our own citizens cannot afford them. People from out of the area come in and buy these homes because Thompson's property values are so much lower compared to Massachusetts or other parts of Connecticut. What a shame our own residents can't afford to live in Thompson, a town they grew up in, or the town that they raised their family. I am very aware of current property values, and I can tell you with certainty that our townspeople have no good options. A young adult from Thompson cannot move out of their parents' home because they can't even find a rental. Even when there are rentals, the housing market has pushed rents for a 1-bedroom apartment to around $1,200 and a 2-bedroom apartment to around $1,500. That is not affordable rent. That is more than someone making a mortgage payment on the home they've had for years. I've talked to so many people who cannot make a move right now because A, they have no place to go locally that they can afford to buy, or B, they might be able to sell their home and make a small fortune. But where are they going to go that is more affordable? I just don't understand why some people in town are against providing more housing units for their fellow citizens. Maybe those that are opposed will someday have to sell their home and will be faced with the same dilemma that so many of our residents are now experiencing. Maybe then they will admit, shame on us for not thinking ahead. Sincerely, Joanne Hall. Any other citizens' comments? We looked down and then I looked up, and it's a very different room right now. Okay, item 7, approval of minutes. Can we start first, please, with the minutes of the regular meeting of May 24th, May 20th.
Yeah, I thought I was wrong, I saw it wrong, is item 17, it said next meeting, May 27th, 2024, when it should have been June 24th, 2024.
Yeah. Is a correction to be made?
Page 5.
It's all there, all. It's all there, all.
So far.
Wait a minute, are
gonna
those,
come
are
up
those
with
the
it
minutes
even-
I did?
I don't know, wait a minute.
Oh, no, those are your minutes.
Any other amendments to the minutes as submitted? Hearing none, I will move to approve the minutes as submitted with amendments.
Second.
Second made by Mr. Blackmer. Any discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve, a no vote will not approve, and we can just do this on all the ayes, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next, the minutes of the subcommittee meeting of Thursday, June 13th. I will move, Mr. Curl.
You going to make a motion to approve these or just to accept them? And discussion, because, I mean, you know, is it still on the preliminary stage that we're at?
It's just minutes, Mike.
Approving the minutes of the meeting. Yeah. Yeah. Just for the record of what.
There's a lot left out of what happened.
Well, paraphrase.
I think a lot of, a lot of paraphrasing, there ain't really any.
Did you make the motion?
I did not get my motion off. I will move to approve the minutes as submitted.
I will second.
Any further discussion?
No,
Mr. Williams?
there's nothing in here about what we talked about.
So it was a very difficult meeting to summarize, which is why I refer to it only as a summary and I refer to the recording, which is perpetual. It was a really, really difficult discussion to distill. But if there's something specific, Ray, that you would like to amend the minutes to include, certainly I can go back and do that.
I'd like the minutes to include that we have to put different verbiage in on our 4,500 square foot lots. But for descriptions of what kind of houses, what kind of buildings can be on a 4,500 square foot lot.
But as I said at the meeting, and thanks for answer that one. As I said at the meeting, that is coming further on down in our discussion. I mean, you had a huge discussion and I tried to stop it because I said it is further that is going to be addressed. That was in my district that I presented for you to discuss. So it is going to be there at the next meeting.
So. As long as we all understand that these are not set in stone, they are still being discussed.
They're just minutes, Mike.
Yeah, they're just minutes, I understand that, but minutes go into weird things sometimes. I just wanted to. let
Yeah,
everyone know.
we're not taking
This is
any
a
action
picture
on
of-
any.
Oh, no, this is right now, that was not. Absolutely.
Mr. Chair. if I may.
Mr. Lincoln.
That meeting that night there is, yeah, there was some not heated, but long discussions on certain item. And Miss Tara Penn, who was trying to get us to move along and Ms. Dunn, is let's get through what we got, but we got two items, I believe, that we're gonna put aside for another subcommittee to just discuss it, because you know as well as I do, those two items can take up to 2 hours. You know, from what has been discussed.
Right, so we had something like an 8 or 9 page discussion memo.
Right.
We got through maybe a page.
That's what I'm
Right,
saying,
so
so.
regardless, there is going to be more discussion, and
I-
no part of accepting the minutes closes discussion. So the minutes are just the best summary I could make of a meeting that had a lot of crosstalk, a lot of off-topic talk. And I was trying to map the minutes to the discussion memo as proposed. But to that end, I also included, as all of our minutes do, links to the recording for anybody who wanted to go over the full content.
I did, but
I
no,
know
no.
you did.
But that's what I'm trying to say, when I went back and I listened to it. And from beginning to end, even though I came in a half an hour late, but still. There was that one topic that everybody was bouncing around on, and it was brought up that we should table that, put it to the side, because that's gonna be a lengthy discussion for a future subcommittee, which could take an hour before we come up with something. And I think there's 2 items. So in all due respect, let's just get through what we gotta get through, because like you said at the end of the meeting, that we made a promise to the people, that we discuss this every year, which I don't have a problem with, but doesn't say we have to put this set in stone. But there are things that we had, things that have come up that where it might change things for us going forward. That's what I'm trying to say. You might disagree with me, Dave, but you had a good point there. Well, it's all going.
I don't think anybody's disagreeing with you, John.
No, but I'm just saying, let's just get this thing through, go through what's easy to get through. We move right. Tara does a very good job,
So,
but
if
we
I
need to
may,
push it ourselves.
In the interest of, we're talking about minutes right now.
Yep,
I'm going to call the vote.
yes,
I guess vote will approve the minutes, a no vote will not approve.
I say yes.
Mr. Crowe.
Yes.
I abstain, I wasn't here.
Dave Pavelski, yes.
Yeah.
I vote yes. Mr. Hill? We're voting to approve or not approve these minutes, the subcommittee meeting. Mine be. I don't know why you labeled it that, that's on you, sir. Yeah, whatever. Ms. Orr? Abstain, I guess.
I'm gonna abstain because I forgot about the meeting.
And Joseph Brody Brown, yes. So that was abstentions from Mr. Blackmer, Mr. Hill, and Ms. Orr. All others voted yes. The minutes are approved. Item 8, applications received. Application 24-16, applicants not Patel, property owner of 423 Plus A Road, map 79, block 47, lot 10, zone RRAD, 18.6 acres, representing Daya Development, requesting a 4-lot subdivision according to subdivision regulations, Article 3, Section K, 1 through 3. We'll now entertain a motion to accept this and to set a public hearing for our next regular meeting.
I'll make that motion to accept application 24, P&Z 2416.
And seconded by Mr. Hill. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The public hearing will be on Monday, July 22nd at 7 PM here in Town Hall.
save on paper and everything. I think we could all save this here instead of having these guys print it out. every
Absolutely.
month.
Absolutely.
One, you're saving paperwork on application.
Well, hold on, Cindy.
We're not done yet.
Application 2417, applicant Nanat LLC, property owner of 96 Main Street, map 169, block 88, lot 53, zone DMRD. Requests multi-family dwelling of 3 or more units according to zoning regulations article 12, 275, 12.2, number 21.
I'll make that motion that we accept P and Z 2417 for the next meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Lenke, seconded by Mr. Hill to accept the application and set a public hearing for Monday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. here in Town Hall. Any discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will accept, and no vote will not accept the application. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And as Mr. Williams suggested, please feel free to save
Save.
these files for next month.
That will be in my memo next month.
Make sure Kevin sends it out with you.
I need lawyers, I didn't get one.
Hey, less paper means less work for me, so.
Oh, come on, we were told
Item
you like
9,
having fun.
reports of officers and staff. Budget, Mr. Canoyer.
Yes, so we have in the account currently available budget, $5,161.78 as of June 24th, 2024, updated from the prior month. The original budget was $38,356. That makes our use percentage at 86.5%. As a reminder, we are on a non-traditional calendar.
Any questions?
Is that all, Mr. Secretary?
Yes, sir.
Treasurer?
That is all.
9B, planners report, next time.
All right, so let us briefly return to the topic of the subcommittee meetings. Most of you have gone in and indicated your availability in the doodle. Some of you have called me. A couple of folks, JBL, Mike, have specifically said that they are generally available. So given the responses, I'm going to set the next one for Thursday, July 11th, which happens to be the only one that our chairman was available for. I expect we will need at least one more after that. In keeping with our last discussion, we aren't strictly speaking on a time limit calendar as long as in the end process, anything that on the selectman side needs to be done to the ordinances, we can get it kind of all done and incorporated at once with the company that does our online codification. I'd still like ideally to have our updates agreed to and adopted for the end of September, because that's the calendar we've been on. We do not have to meet that, but it's nice to be consistent. The other exciting thing, of course, is the 65 Main project. Several of you went on the site walk last week, and I'll let you guys comment on that all you want. We're making nice progress. There is, the next workshop is 2 days away at the public library. We've got 3 guest speakers coming in. Someone from the Willimantic Food Co-op to discuss how that organization came to be, someone from Hope and Maine in Warren, Rhode Island, which is a comparable in scale and focus incubator program for food system businesses. Also some focus on agriculture. I think in their case, it's more food system. And then Allison Angelini, who is an owner and farmer operator of Full Heart Farm in Ledyard. She's been farming for about 13 years now, so we can't really call her a startup anymore, but coming in to share some of her sort of challenges and triumphs, I guess, of starting a small agricultural business. I'm sure Maura will give us her synopsis from the site walk as well. So we would like to have a good showing. So if anybody wants to attend on Wednesday who hasn't RSVP'd for me, please do so. there's two reasons I ask people to RSVP. One is because I track that stuff for the grant reporting purposes. But as those of you who have been to them know, also we buy pizza. So I need to make sure that I have enough for everyone who shows up.
You said July 11th.
July 11th for the next subcommittee. Yeah, so that'll be a Zoomer and I'll send the Zoom
Oh,
link
good. Well, I
out.
can sit in from Pocono. Then. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah. And I can send the Zoom link out before the end of the week, probably tomorrow.
Thank you, Ms. Dunn. Ms. Dunn, anything, I know the bulk of your report was the application.
No, I don't have any, I just wanted to tell you that, your next packet will not include Shamra's application. So if you want to reference that when you come to the meeting, when we put in our conditions, please bring it.
Hold on to that with your 2416 and your 2417 packet.
But no, I haven't been here for the last 5 days, well, since last Wednesday, actually. And I had a Casio, event today in Glastonbury, which was very informative. Didn't got my 4 hours. There.
Congratulations.
So, not that I don't have hours.
Thank you, Cindy. Item 10, correspondence. We received several pieces of correspondence.
No.
No, yeah, we got just a couple of things.
Yeah.
Any questions on those? Hearing none. Item 11, signing of Mylars. There are none. 12, old business. There is none. Item 13, new business. There is none. Item 14, we received the ZBA minutes. Any questions, comments? Thoughts on those? We're at 14. Item 15, citizens' comments.
I guess I'll interject here as opposed to under commissioner comments, as I forgot until after we moved off my memo. I just want to, and Valerie, you go ahead first, and then I'll toss my 2 cents in.
Yep, Valerie Clark, 105 Elm Road. There was a discussion tonight regarding minutes. And I heard comments about it's just minutes. I think minutes are critical. It's why they're part of the legal record. And there was also a comment that I heard about that the Zoom recording is in perpetuity. That was not my understanding. Can somebody talk about how long the Zoom recordings are available, please?
Yeah, let me amend that statement. The Zoom recordings are not themselves in perpetuity. The YouTube recordings that I upload do last forever. We had finite storage on Zoom. That's so any meeting that I host that has a Zoom component, I get the recording the next day, I upload it to my system, and then I also upload it to YouTube, and that's why both of those links are in the minutes. At some point, the Zoom link, you are correct, does go away, but the YouTube link will not go away. So that is in perpetuity. So thank you for pointing that out, Valerie. I should have been more precise.
Thank you. And I guess my secondary point is the only, am I right in hearing what you said, that the only YouTube recording uploads are the ones for meetings in which you, Tara Penn, the planner, are doing the recording? Is that correct?
The Board of Selectmen, the other sort of big 3 boards do record, but I do not know what their process is. I do believe that they do get uploaded to the town's YouTube channel, but I cannot speak directly as to how long they are archived or who does that uploading. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, and I don't expect this commission to have the answer to that question, but I do think it is important to be very, very, very clear that the Zoom meeting is not kept. So thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Anyway, so back to where I was starting. So what I meant to mention under my planner's memo was actually to call out my colleague Cindy Dunn and our commissioners JBL and Ray for going to the Connecticut chapter of the American Planning Association meeting with me on a couple of Fridays ago. I think everybody who was there agrees it was very informative. And I would also like to point out that I called out our staff and our commissioners for the extent to which they are going to a lot of these extra things like the Connecticut Land Conservation Council events, like all of the other classwork you guys are doing. Because as these guys can confirm, you know, it was mostly an event for planners and members of that association. And there was some commentary from some of the panelists that there was no reliable way to say that their commissioners were getting their educational requirements. They don't know if they're paying attention. And I did feel that it was necessary to call out that you guys do a great job. So even when we disagree, Ray, which sometimes you and I do, I always appreciate that you guys have gone to the effort to try to, you know, learn the stuff that's out there, even when you come to it with a lens that may disagree with some of the ways that we look at it. So I just wanted to praise my colleagues here on the commission and on the staff.
Thank you, Ms. Pat. I'll say here to that.
Chair, if I may.
If
You
you'll let
want,
me move
I'll
on to
leave.
item 16, I can.
I chose to be a citizen, not a commissioner. How do you like that?
That's okay.
Hearing no more citizens' comments, item 16, commissioners' comments. Mr. Lenke.
I would like to touch on what Terry just said. I'm glad I went to it. I kept this, and this was very informative, especially the first part in the morning with the lawyers. There was a couple good things in here, especially about the ADA and everything, how things were being handled. Ray and I, we thought it was great. I've learned, now I understand a lot of things. They were surprised, I think, that group, like you just said, to see a couple commissioners there. You know, I mean, so that made us, that we're trying to learn better how the lawyers work, you know, on all this other stuff, and then we had the chicken deal come up again too.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Lenke. Any other comments at this time?
Ready to get Terry.
I actually have one.
Yes, Mr. Knoyer.
Sure, just a couple brief items. The first is I had the pleasure of listening to the full subcommittee meeting more than once today. I think, you know, everyone needs to kind of try to state their points and get along, and I think that, you know, everyone made their best efforts, so I definitely appreciate that. I had a couple of questions on things that maybe just didn't quite understand or didn't really sit with me. One of the things was the math behind the building. There was a lot of references to what's called the math, and I don't think that if I put the math on a simple spreadsheet, I don't think that building lots of developments for housing would actually improve the economics of the town. I think that we need a big industrial project, as I've stated for many years now. So I think that's one. So I guess I would like to see some kind of, you know, discussion or actual substance behind this math that we hear about.
Happy to share it with you, which is
Sure.
why I suggested you come see me in my office, bro.
Yeah, no, I'm not, this is a, you know, this is just because I missed it, so I'm trying to, you know, say what, catch up, yeah. What I probably would have said during the meeting. You know, specifically on the parcels per road density, so don't want to beat that too much. That was just something that I can't understand how that works. I really like the fact that we are trying to get away from the 97 and 3%, you know, business side. That's clearly unsustainable, and that's something that we need to do. So I've mentioned before that we really need to have a project that incorporates the railroad and energy. I heard some talk about the lack of natural gas infrastructure. I think maybe we should expand that a little bit and maybe look at the maps of all the natural gas. The northeast part of New England generally, and other areas up here in the Northeast is one of the largest natural gas hubs in the United States, called the Marcellus Shale, for anyone that's not familiar. So just to point of reference there, but you would need distribution points and pipes and, there's a lot more to it, but there are plenty of pipelines that run around, so maybe it's something that needs to be expanded a little bit. And yeah, I think I can go through some of the other items on the subcommittee side, but those were things that I didn't quite understand when I listened to the recordings.
Thank you.
We'll
Mr.
have,
Miller.
we'll have to have a discussion date.
We can do that, of course.
Mr.
Happy
Hill.
to.
Yes, since there've been a lot of changes in chapter 124 and I'm planning hopefully to have all the new changes for handout sometime in the fall. Statute changes.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Your work on that is always very helpful.
Appreciate you taking it.
Mhm. I'm sure, yeah. It's appreciated and I find it helpful personally, so thank you. Mr. Williams.
The one thing that did, well, there was a couple of things that came up at that last conference that we went to, and one of the things, and I brought it up the other night, the regulations, they said, the different people perceive them different, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot, just tonight, how many things came across, these people bringing up for regulations, stuff that's gotta be added to our regulations, for notifying people, even if they are over state lines. And, that's just what one of them is. Quite a few other ones.
I'll be looking at that in chapter 124.
But there's a lot of the stuff that is, there's gray areas on.
Yeah.
That we definitely have to look at.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Yeah, thank you. I had wanted to be able to join that as well, so I'm glad Mr. Lanky and Mr. Williams that you were able to make that.
The food was good too.
You guys will be lucky because I'm out of concert July 11th.
Oh, no.
No cartwheels, no cartwheels.
Ray, I never want you not to attend, no matter how we may disagree. Don't ever think that I don't want you to attend. Speaking of those perceptions though, and it goes back to something, had a little back and forth with Attorney Roberts because the question came up again about whether or not planning and zoning can or should approve applications if there is a tax arrears. Attorney Roberts again confirmed what Cindy and I knew, which is that it is not our jurisdiction. That is the building department's, the building officials' sole jurisdiction. We cannot include it in our regulations, but I had actually tacked on some other bullet points in that. And without discussing anything specific about the public hearing, because we closed it, this has happened on several applications when discussions of demographics, ages, rents, selling points of homes, none of those things are permissible for the commission to discuss, particularly anything about demographics, who might be moving in, who might be using a property, because in an instance, a hypothetical instance where the commission denies an application and there is any whiff of the perception that that application might have been denied because of demographics, that is legal jeopardy for the town. So anytime anybody wants to go down that path, don't do it. Don't engage with the public on it. It is a big no-go because that will be a loser for the town every time. So in my role of protecting you guys as well as the town, it really like binds me up when I hear people start to walk down that path. So please be careful to limit your discussion on applications to that which is within your jurisdiction.
You can include asking the price of the structures too.
Well, yeah, I guess rent, rent, selling prices, how much is it gonna cost?
We don't have that to do it.
And that I just wanna close with just one thing that Ms. Clark had brought up. I think it was I who said, these are just the minutes that we're talking about. And I hope the commission understood that I meant as opposed to taking any substantive action. I agree with Ms. Clark's assertion that the minutes of each of our meetings and our subcommittee meetings are of utmost importance, but in the moment, we don't always speak as articulately as we want to, and that in the most grievous situations can lead us down some rough areas. So thank you for all that. With that, item 17, our next meeting is Monday, July 22nd at 7 p.m. right here. Item 18.
Close the meeting.
Motion made by Mr. Lanky, is there a second? Mr. Robin, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned.
Good night, everyone.
I have to. I should probably know.